Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This session is focused on our new marketing toolkit that we have put together for you. So I would like to introduce Maria, who has been fundamental in putting this marketing toolkit together. Thank you, Maria, for so much for doing this for our section officers. Maria is going to walk you through what is in the toolkit, how you can best utilize everything that is in the toolkit, and then I guess more or less what is going to be added to the toolkit, Maria. If I'm mistaken in that, you can correct me as you go through your presentation. But really, what this toolkit is going to be or should be utilized for is really marketing your section at the local level. It's email best practices, it's social media best practices. It's really being able to expand your presence in the best way possible. So I'm going to turn this over to Maria, and just so you guys know, you're going to be able to find all these tools and resources that she's referring to in your officer toolbox. And just as a refresher, that officer toolbox is located on Connection Plus. So you'll be able to find everything that you need to just by logging into Connection Plus, going into your officer toolkit. And if you need a refresher on where to find that, we'll go into that in a different session in Weeks of Welcome. So just look for that a little bit later. But Maria, I'm going to hand it over to you now so you can walk these officers through that.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Nicole. Hi, everyone. Like Nicole said, my name is Maria, and I have been working with the membership and community engagement team for a year and a half now. And this year, we've really been focusing on sections and what we can do to support them from a marketing perspective. And so, like Nicole said, we recently worked and finalized this section officer toolkit for marketing, and specifically it covers email and social, because for you guys, I think that's really the best avenues to get a strong marketing groundwork to be able to market and promote the section events and things happening at the local level so that you all feel comfortable and confident and can get that attendance and all of that, and cultivating that local level involvement all rolls up into the bigger picture and helping membership overall. So I just want to take some time to kind of walk through some of the details of this toolkit and to talk about best practices and a little bit of the why as well, so that you have a better understanding for one, why marketing is important, and two, how you can feel comfortable and confident in implementing these marketing tactics as well. So as section officers for SAE, you are all leading your local networks and doing so through, networking events, meetings, attending events, talking about technical things that are happening within industry. And so, being able to talk about and market and promote all that you're doing is going to be pivotal to the success that you all want to achieve as section officers. And so we want to help you be able to amplify your message correctly. So let's dive into email first. So email marketing is a super great tool for you all to have effective communication, organized communication, especially when talking to a larger group. I know the sections can range in size, but overall, every section is talking to a chunk of folks. And so the best way to be able to talk to everyone in an organized and streamlined way is through email. And it's a good way to keep your section up to date on everything that's going down. You can have different sections in your email to talk about, what happened at the last meeting, what's coming up at the next meeting, what are events that are happening locally, what is the latest news that's happening, things like that. And so when you're thinking about constructing an email, following a simple and consistent format is going to be key, because that will keep the readers engaged and also, again, keep your messaging organized in order of importance. I know some of you, or maybe all of you, might have a lot of information that you want to share, but I would caution you to maybe pick out the 3 or 4 biggest points or most important points that you want to talk about on any given month or week, however often you want to send out an email, and utilize those as your main points in the email, and maybe save some of that other information for later, perhaps in the actual meeting that you have with your section. And the reason I say this is because we as humans have a bit of a short attention span, right? So we don't want to have the folks in your section scrolling and scrolling, because they may not end up reading all that content if they have to keep scrolling and there's just, a lot of things presented to them at once. So being able to really highlight and call out those few key things that are happening. Maybe it's a deadline for registration for an upcoming event that you're having. Maybe you're bringing in a guest speaker to one of your upcoming meetings. Maybe it's talking through, some important points that were brought up at a previous meeting that need to be shared with everyone. Whatever it may be, identify what those biggest points are and utilize that as the bulk of your email. That will help everyone else in your section know how to prioritize and know what's most important at that given time. And then talking about some of those lesser important things in a different the section meeting. That's one really big thing. Another thing is following the same format. This keeps things clean. It gives it a more professional finish. Your section folks will know what to expect and will start to recognize the emails that are coming from you if you follow that same format. And honestly, it makes your life easier as well, because you can just kind of bring up last month's or whenever your last email was and kind of work from that. So that's what I recommend. It can be super simple. I know some sections use their own email company. I know MailChimp is used by a few, so that's a very user-friendly tool to use, where even if you're creating a simple email in Outlook or Gmail, again, just following a simple format, no crazy colors or links, something that's easy and clean, easy to follow, organized, and recognizable are going to be the best practices for that. So that is two big things right off the bat that I think everyone can implement and feel comfortable doing right away. And those changes, even if they seem small, are going to make a huge impact down the line. Another thing that's really important to remember is the subject line that you choose for the emails that you're sending out. Again, you want to do something that is going to grab folks' attention, something that's going to let them know that it's coming from, say, the Pittsburgh section. That's where I'm from. So that's my example, the Pittsburgh section, or the Detroit section, the SoCal section, something that's going to be recognizable, but something that's also going to engage them and pull them in so that they'll want to click on the email and read through, because you're putting in the work of creating the email. You want folks to be able to read it. So something that is strong and lets people know what the email is about will get you higher clicks into reading the email. So for example, if you have a guest speaker coming next month, pulling that into the subject line would be a really great draw for folks, because, obviously people are excited about this guest speaker, so they'll want to click in and read more of the details about that upcoming event. Or, if you're going to go tour a facility or something, again, that could be a good lead as well. And then that could be the first, quote unquote story within your email that you lay out. So that's another suggestion as well, is if you have a subject line, say, so-and-so is speaking at the upcoming meeting, and then you click into the email, the first part of the email should probably be about that said speaker who you highlighted in your subject line. Again, keeping things consistent, because if that's what your subject line is going to be, that's what folks are more than likely going to be looking for within the email. So having it right there, the first thing they can read, is another way to keep them engaged and more likely to keep opening the emails the more you send them. Moving on, another thing that is helpful and your readers will thank you for is including the links to appropriate web pages for folks to take immediate action on what you are sending. So if you are talking about an event that's happening in a month or two for your section, and you already have an RSVP set up, putting that link in there so folks can RSVP right away, is going to help you all in the long run. Less chasing down people the closer you get to an event. Better organization. Again, as you can see, organization is a huge theme in this, and being able to utilize email. So, including links if you're talking about, something more SAE specific, maybe an upcoming SAE event that's happening, including the link in there for folks to find out more information. Anything that you might want people to take action on, if there's a link for it, including it in there will help them take that action sooner rather than later. Like I mentioned before, if you do use a third-party marketing platform to send out emails, take advantage of their templates. They have a lot of really user-friendly ones, simple and streamlined, and stick to that same style. And then the last thing for email is to remember to utilize your section's logo in the email, primarily at the top. Again, we want to make these consistently formatted and recognizable. And so one of the best ways to make it recognizable is to utilize your section logo so that folks know right away what this email, who it's coming from, what it's going to be about. And again, kind of give that professional tone as well. So those are the biggest tips for email. There's more detail on this toolkit doc about it, but, trying to do it on a consistent basis to build that trust is going to be important as well, whether that be monthly, which I think is totally a great cadence to get on. If you want to do it more than monthly, you can, maybe twice a month. But I think monthly is a great place to start for most of you. So it's a very feasible thing to do. And like I said, once you get the hang of it, it'll become just easier and easier to kind of utilize that same template, swap in and out new material for the month and send it out. So it will become something that is like second nature to you all. So if we move down to social media, this is another great tool when thinking about marketing the section at your local level. So, you can post a variety of things on social media, as well as utilize the different channels of social media to your advantage based on audience, right? So in addition to posting like industry thoughts and achievements, also sharing your own section news, upcoming events, or any other important information can go really far. So I know some sections do have their own social media channels. And so that is a great thing to utilize, again, to let folks know what's going on, save the dates, get them aware of things that are happening. And then some sections may not have their own social media, and that's okay too. That's something you can either work for, or you can also utilize, your personal LinkedIn, for example, your personal LinkedIn account as a section officer, and utilize that to, again, share industry knowledge, topics, trends, what's going on, talk about section news that's happening at your section. So actually utilizing your personal LinkedIn could be a great way to help spread the word about your section, maybe get some more folks interested in joining and becoming section members and becoming SAE members. So being able to reach out to your personal networks could really be a great tool that maybe isn't utilized right now a lot, but again, is something easy to start leveraging and can really make a big difference, right? You all are in various places within the industry and mobility worlds, and that is becoming bigger and bigger with all the new technologies and things happening in industry. And so you all have a great network, I'm sure, cultivated on your LinkedIns that you're reaching folks in tons of different areas in the industry. So being able to talk about a section event that's coming up, being able to get folks excited about a speaker that's going to come next month and talk to your section, and get that in front of folks who maybe aren't familiar with the local sections or with SAE even, is a great recruitment tool for not only the local sections, but for SAE overall. So definitely consider, just typing up a few sentences, talking about what this event is or what the next meeting is going to be about and why folks might want to be interested in joining. Pop that link in there for them to get more information, maybe a photo or if nothing else, again, a photo of your section logo, and a lot could really come from that. So keep that in mind if you're a section officer and you're thinking, how can I personally do a little more to help with the marketing of our section in the local community? When thinking about posting on social media, a couple of best practices to keep in mind kind of when you're talking about SAE is thinking about the SAE voice and kind of how we talk about ourselves. And so the SAE voice is knowledgeable, authoritative, but approachable, and demonstrates centrality in the mobility industry. So keeping those ideas in mind when you're creating your own social media posts, I think will also help guide you as you're figuring out what you want to say. And that should be no problem because you're talking about SAE related things. So talking about it in that manner, I'm sure will come second nature. So again, just some guidelines for when posting on social media. Tagging is going to be key. And again, this may seem like something small, but being able to tag, whether it's SAE International, so our headquarters, your local section, again, if they have social media, or other key people or organizations in your posts, can open you up to a whole new audience, right? So, if you're tagging the SAE's headquarters social media, we could work to reshare it with you, or we could comment or boost it so you're getting more engagement. Say you're going to go tour a local car manufacturer in your area, being able to tag that company and hopefully getting that shared onto their audience, again, can open you up and open your section up to a whole new network of folks who aren't seeing your posts, but are now seeing it because that company or that person decided to reshare it onto their audience. So it can really be a powerful tool to, again, help recruit new folks who are interested in joining your local section, which would be awesome. Or it could also help other people say, hey, I would love to come in and speak and talk to your section down the line or something. Like, I saw this post and you guys are doing really great work. I'd love to talk to you about XYZ. So tagging is a huge thing, very easy to do. And you can always, if you forget to tag, in pretty much every social platform except for Twitter, but on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, which I know LinkedIn is probably the most commonly used social media platform for a lot of you, but you can go in and edit the post and add a tag onto a post that's already gone out if you forgot, or if you wanted to add something after the fact. So never fear, if you forget to tag before the post goes live, you can always go in and edit that so that you get that extra pickup. Kind of going off of that is the engagement that you do on social media. And so engaging with your fellow section officers and the people in your section on social media is also going to do a lot to boost your post and get it onto more people's feeds. I'm sure we've all seen on LinkedIn, sometimes people we don't know at all are coming onto our newsfeed, and that's because one of our connections commented on that post. So you can make that happen and get your fellow section officers' post onto new people's feeds simply by commenting on it, and then it'll help show up to, again, boost awareness, boost engagement, add promotion, and that's another simple 30-second thing that you can do to take out of your day and to hopefully get this onto some new folks' feeds. So engaging with posts is going to be key, and encouraging the people within your section to engage and to share the posts, comment on the post is really going to go a long way. Because if you think about it, say your section has 25 folks in it. If even half of those people reshared that post, it's going to 12 or 13 brand new audiences of folks who are getting the opportunity to see what you guys are doing in your local section. And that could be going out to thousands of people. So that is really huge. Another thing is incorporating hashtags, but be aware, just putting a ton of hashtags may not do a lot. So it's important to identify the relevant hashtags where you see fit, where it makes sense within the social post. 1 to 3 hashtags is the optimal number. So, if you're having a session about a certain topic and it makes sense to hashtag that within the post, then go ahead and do that. But just adding a bunch of hashtags at the bottom of your post probably isn't going to do a ton, but if you're able to incorporate a hashtag into a sentence in your post, that would make a lot of sense. Like, we're so excited to be working with Maria Graziano, an expert in the hashtag electrification field, for example. Something like that, where you're able to work in a hashtag that brings in industry or brings in a topic that's relevant, and utilizing that within the sentence structure itself. That is probably the best way to utilize those hashtags. And again, 1 to 3 is the optimal number. If it doesn't fit within the post, that's okay too. And then also just overall, be on the lookout for conversations on social media that are related to your expertise so that you can join in, share your knowledge, and engage with others in your industry. I know there's always trending topics happening. I'm sure your trending topics may look a bit different than mine from a marketing perspective, but that's the great thing about social media is it knows what you're interested in. And so if there's trending topics happening about autonomous vehicles or sustainability, and you can pop in and kind of share your expertise and maybe incorporate, something about SAE, something about your local section. Again, that's just a great organic way to continue to talk about the section, what you all are doing at the local level, and get folks aware and involved. And so there's a lot of really good ways organically to help engage and promote and bring awareness to the local section through social media. And so again, it may feel a little awkward at first, but you'll get into the pattern and you'll become, much more comfortable the more you do it, with how to identify when it's a good time to post or, how to construct a post, things like that. And the last thing that I will say about social media is that consistency really is key. If you can get on somewhat of a consistent schedule of posting, again, it can be just a couple times a month, but as long as you're doing it on a, somewhat of a cadence, that's going to make a difference. And your followers and your networks are going to start to notice that you're posting about this regularly. And so they're going to think, hey, this person is posting about this a lot. Like, maybe I'll check it out. Like, this seems, like a good thing to join in on. Let me find out more about it, right? Instead of just a haphazard post every 6 months or something. So try to have that consistency in your mind, when you're doing social and when you're doing email. Honestly, when you're doing marketing in general, consistency can really make a huge difference in, how everything performs. So that wraps it up. Just a few links down here, which when you access your toolkit digitally, you'll be able to click onto all of SAE's social media platforms right here. There's also some examples of section officers and local section social media accounts that are, good to just take a look at, see how they're talking about things that are happening at the local section for them. And then if you have any questions at any time, you can always reach out to me. And then Rachel is our content communications associate for SAE International overall. So she runs our international channels. So you can reach out to either one of us or, of course, Nicole at any time. And then the last thing that I will say really quickly is Nicole and I are also working to be able to share out any type of graphics or marketing assets that we create for programming and share that with you as section officers so that you can utilize that stuff as well. So whether that be like video assets to utilize or graphics for upcoming Chat with the Experts or networking things that are happening, that way you all have those tools as well. And then you can take the best practices from the toolkit, combine it with the assets that we're creating, and have a post pretty much ready to go for you. So we're trying to make it as easy and as streamlined as possible for you all. So that is everything. So questions. I see a few questions. How do we identify someone with the time to generate emails? Officers are already donating tons of their time. So that can definitely be something that is different for each section. I would say, maybe if there's not an officer right now that has time to do that. Maybe you could talk about electing someone who sends out the email monthly or whatever that might be. And like I said, I know you all are doing a lot, but hopefully over time these emails become something that are almost second nature, so that you have, a template ready to go and it's not a very time consuming activity. So that is the ultimate goal that we want to get you to, is being it, not having it be just an extra thing, but having it be a useful tool that you're able to get generated quickly and easily and efficiently. Oh, and I saw Amanda also said that could be a good networking session. That could be as well too, right? Every section is going to be different for like workloads and how to best spread that out, but that would be my suggestion as well. Challenge of utilizing email, having email addresses to contact the section.
Maria, I can't see the chat. If you want to read them out loud and there's ones I can answer, please tell me.
Sure. So Ken said, a challenge of utilizing email is having sufficient email addresses to contact our whole section. The downloaded section rosters available through FTP have missing email addresses. In our section, as many as 40% of the email addresses are blank. Do you have any suggestions?
So that goes back, and that's the problem we've been having with, that's the problem we have with our GDPR issues. That right now is not going to change. That's our members, non-members opting out of getting communications. That's something we as an organization can't control. That's an issue. We're just there is no workaround for that. We have to use member connection to communicate with those individuals. We that's what we have to do. We have to respect our members. We have to respect our non-members' privacy, just like you would want your privacy respected if you ask people not to email you. We have to do the same right now. So that's the stance that the organization has taken. So that's what we have to do. I think there was a question about what do we do. I think you said something about time for emails. Was that a question too? Somebody said.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is, like you said, Maria, about appointing a I would strongly suggest trying to appoint a communications chair or something along those lines, because you're right. Communication via email, communication via anything, right? Social media is a very, if done correctly, it's going to be a heavy lift. So if we can identify even a student or somebody who wants to take that on, that would be my suggestion. And maybe there isn't somebody right now that you can identify, but maybe it's something to look towards or for in the future. Because if done correctly, I think it does take a little bit of time and planning to do correctly. So that would be my suggestion. So I think I think that might be Brian's question there. So I'm happy to help you try to find those individuals, either looking through the rosters or putting out a call for volunteers. So at the connection site, section administrators have the ability to email community members. That tool requires HTML tags. Yes, exactly. And there is no online editor for those emails to help us. Is there a plan to provide a good editor? Actually, I was working with, yes, Ken, I believe that was you. Wasn't you? I think it might have been you, Ken. I can't remember. We don't have an HTML editor, but what I was planning on doing was providing some HTML tools for everybody so that everybody has the ability to use HTML editing, to be able to put some at least some basic emails together so that if you do email out from the community, you're able to reach your members. So what Ken is referring to is if you guys are familiar with how to email your members from Member Connection, the way they go out is they're not pretty, I guess, is for lack of a better word. They're not formatted, right? So if you use Member Connection and you email your members from the community, there's no formatting to them. What I think, like, Ken, I'm sorry, but I think it was you and I figured out was we were able to use HTML coding to make those emails formatted. But what I also understand is that not everybody is familiar with how to code with HTML. It is a pretty easy thing to do. So what I want to do is provide everybody with a basic HTML format for emails so that you're able to send out emails from Member Connection easily. So that will be inserted into your Officer Toolbox, so you can easily just insert your text into the HTML coding and then go ahead and email out from Member Connection. I think that's the easiest path forward, at least for now. We are exploring other options for Member Connection, Connection Plus, for email options for the community, but we're not there yet. We're hoping that is pushed out down the line, but right now it's not an available option for the community, but it is something that we are looking into for a phase 2 or 3 of the new platform.
And then Lucas just had one last point, Nicole, similar to Ken's, saying using the logos of the sections, but that's not an option using Member Connection. So I would probably just echo what Nicole was just saying, and down the line as we continue to bring in new features to Connection Plus, that's something we can definitely look into is when using the email tool in Connection Plus, how can we ensure that you can drop in a logo in there? So thank you for bringing that to at least my attention, so that we can look into that for down the line with new features.
Yes, that's a good point too, because I'm not even sure that if we used HTML coding that we could put the logo in, and I'll look into that. I just don't know. I'm not that savvy with it, so I'll check on that, but I also don't know. And then Maria, at the end of your presentation, you made a wonderful point about incorporating some of the ongoing activities that we have, and making sure that we input those into the marketing toolkit. I wanted to let you know that we've already, officers, not Maria, that we have already started incorporating some of those for you guys to look at. So if you go into the marketing toolkit now, and I believe I already sent an email regarding this, but we already have some video assets in there for you, some member testimonials, and some other things in there. If you do, if there's things that, you're wondering what you could share out right now to start to get some of your social sites up and running, or some things that you want to share out with your members in email, whatever, we do have some of those assets already available in your marketing toolkit. And we do plan to continue to add those things to the marketing toolkit. And as they're added, I'll remind you via those monthly emails that I send out. So as those are added, I'll put them in the email that I send you, and I'll let you know that they're added to the marketing toolkit. And then if you want to share them via your social sites or via email or via your connection sites, you can do so as appropriate for your section. So I just wanted to throw that out there so that those will be available for you, and some are currently available for you now. So if there's no other questions, I guess that's all I have. Maria, did you have anything else to add?
No, that's all. And like I said, just if you ever have any questions, you can feel free to shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to walk through stuff with you guys.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you
No
also,
problem.
Brittany.
Thanks, everyone.